All right, Happy New Year. This is Stephen Bourne with the Rye Civic League. Wearing my Patriots gear. We have one more game to lose this season. All right, we're inside at Common Roots' building. It's been around for 100 years. Stick around. Alex Hurley, he's going to tell you about what was happening here the last 100 years. So, in Rye, Northampton police lost their chief. We're going to actually be lending them Chief Walsh. He's going to be there, and Deputy Chief Blaisdell will be running the police department. The select board at the 23rd meeting announced they're going to spend $85,000 to buy the landfill at Breakfast Hill. It's a private property. They're going to do it. The A through Q documents aren't posted, nothing about the public hearing. They also talked about a warrant article to roll back petition warrant articles that gave the public the chance to weigh in on land sales and purchasing by the towns. There's links to all those past warrant articles in the Civic News. The PDA with Rye Harbor, January 7th, 8:30 in the morning is the next meeting. Remember, they put out that RFP. We've got links to the article that was in the Herald. That group, the Rye Harbor group, was updated their information page, so there's that information. The select board and the town clerk haven't been able to work out what to do to moving that part-time employee, the third person, to full-time. That goes back to the Beth Eaton days. It's not a question whether they need a full-time person, third full-time person, but they're arguing over the numbers. The budget committee included the money for the full-time, so that takes it off the table, and the select board and the town clerk's office just need to work that out. Also, with the budget committee, did not approve the school board budget yet. It's not a question about what's in this year's budget, but more about the rising cost of the budget and enrollment dropping, what's going to happen. There was, last 20 years, we built 290 additional housing units. Some new numbers by the state, should have added about 70 people. But over the last 20 years, the school population, from K through 8 or whatever, has dropped to about 200 people. So that's what's going on there. And the build-out analysis for the master plan really says the most Rye's going to be able to build is another 500 units with the existing zoning. The budget committee also on January 16th is going to be the budget presentation. The budget committee is working on a new way of doing that. So we're producing a presentation, all the narratives, everything's going to be available before that meeting. The select board, discussions around how to do bonding long-term. It's very painful to watch, but no clear plan understanding how that works. There was also reference to a dog committee meeting that may have been held in December that wasn't posted. There's no information on that. Rye Rec, you may know about this, but I didn't, but they've been having senior luncheons. There was one in December. There's going to be 2 more in January and February. We've added those links. Thank you for everyone that participated to the Rye Library Strategic Planning. They got 311 responses. That's pretty good considering the master plan work only got 320. Speaking of the master plan, the steering committee is sunsetted. It's moved to the planning board. The draft is available. The planning board should be reviewing it and should just start discussing those next steps at the January 7th meeting. Also, the NHDRA, when we're looking at the school budget, noticed that they were using $4.8 billion for the equalized value of the town assessment. So if you remember in 2021, before we did the last assessment, the town assessed value was $2.4 billion. That assessment moved it for 3.2. That equalized value has a $4.8 billion. So in those 4 short years, the assessed value of Rye is just about double. So, all right, that's the top 10. Share the civic news, and here's Alex to tell you all the history about this property.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have yet to make a film on the history site that represents the businesses and stores of Rye. They are many and fascinating, and they go way back into the 1800s, into the early 1800s. We've had some kinds of stores in this town. 1805 might be the earliest one on the corner of Washington and Lane. Candy, groceries, who knows what they had. Anyway, we're standing in Common Roots Cafe, and it has been here as a business since for maybe 6 or 7 years now. But the building that it's in has had a business here on the boulevard since the 1920s. So we're due for a century's party, a century-old party, and we're thinking about how we can do that. Maybe a speakeasy party, right? Because it'd be the roaring 20s. Anyway, so it started, and we don't know if he built the building or not, but supposedly John Carberry came up from Hampton, and he started Carberry's store. Now, did he have breakfast and lunch? Did he have a soda fountain? And who knows? But he certainly had the groceries, and people could walk right up from the beach and get things and go back. So, but as long as I can remember as a kid, and this was Carberry's when I was a little kid, the soda fountain was always here, and you come down for breakfast, you get newspapers, groceries, and so forth. And Carberry sold it to Herb Philbrick of I Led 3 Lives fame. Herb Philbrick, this is 1954 he sold it. And Philbrick had been a Soviet double agent, US CIA, and of course his private life. So there's the I Led 3 Lives, the title of his book. A very interesting book. There's been a presentation on it recently at the library, and I highly recommend it. It was written from his experience in the 40s being a double agent. So that got a lot of attention, but it continued to be what it always had been. A beach store open year-round on the boulevard. Now, Philbrick's store continued on to the 60s, but now it was owned by the business was owned by the Hadley family, and they continued to run it to a certain point later in the century when then it became Farley's. During the middle of the century, that's when they added on this little strip section off to the left as you face it, where they have the multiple business. It used to be Jeanette's Sea Shop. At the Rye Museum, we have historic photos of all of these various iterations of what this building looked like. When it was here in the 20s, it didn't look much like it looks now, but you could sort of see the original. So Farley's went into, I think, early into this century, and then it became Rye General Store. And they had, breakfast and lunch and all of the things here. But when Common Roots took it over, we really got to step up in quality because not only had excellent breakfast and lunch, but you now can get takeout dinners. And in the summer, they're open till 7 o'clock. They close earlier in the winter, but they still have those takeouts. And the kitchen may be closed, but so anyway, this is one of Benny's. I never went to it when it was Farley's because I was too busy going to Tony's Diner, a Greasy Spoon, which is down by the Big Scoop. Now, if that doesn't ring a bell, Lago's does. Lago's opened 42 years ago when my son was born. That's why I was remembering. And but Tony's closed in 1984. But he was there from 1970 to 84, and that was another fantastic eatery. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the oldest road in America. Thank you.